Most people know that the New Testament presents Jesus as being born in Bethlehem. Accounts of how this came to be are found in the Gospels of Matthew and Luke. This element of the Nativity story has been forever immortalized in one of the most cherished Christmas carols of all time, O Little Town of Bethlehem. The song opens with a very beautifully poetic description of Jesus' birthplace. O little town of Bethlehem, how still we see thee lie, above thy deep and dreamless sleep, the silent stars go by. Bethlehem was not a major center of power in Jesus' day. It was a sleepy little town known more for its past than for anything else. It was the place where the great king of Israel's history, David, had been born. We go on to read in the Gospel of Luke about the circumstances of Jesus' nativity. Popular English Bible translations usually have it something like this. And Mary gave birth to her firstborn son and wrapped him in swaddling clothes, and she laid him in a manger, in Greek phatne, because there was no room for them in the inn. And the Greek word there is kataluma. It's important to look at that passage carefully. As I'm going to explain, it has often been misunderstood, and the common translation of the Greek word there contributes to that misreading. Now, I want to clarify, I'm not interested in myth-busting here, just for the sake of myth-busting. As we will see, the bad translation causes us to miss an important element of the story that had vital significance for early Christian interpreters. And it's an element that I think has profound meaning for Christians today. So first, the Christ child is said to be born and laid in a manger. The Greek word there, phatne, probably means something like a feeding trough. Jesus is depicted as being placed where the food for the animals go. Second, in the translation I just gave, we read that there was no room for them in the inn. Now, this translation gives the misleading impression that there is some kind of Hotel Bethlehem and that there were no rooms available. But that's not correct. The word translated in Greek is kataluma. Now, later in the gospel, we read the famous story of the Good Samaritan. We read about how he helps some poor beaten man and he pays for his stay at an inn. But the word there is a different Greek word. The word that appears in the story of Jesus' birth, kataluma, is actually better translated room. This is the meaning the word has later in the gospel. So right before his Last Supper, Jesus sends his apostles, Peter and John, into Jerusalem ahead of the rest of his entourage to prepare for the Passover. Jesus tells them that they will go and find a room. And the Greek word there is kataluma, same word as in the Christmas story. It's the place where they are going to prepare the Passover meal. So in the story of Jesus' birth, he's laid in the manger because I think it's better to say, there is no space for them or no place for them in the room, in the kataluma. This is really significant, right? Later, Jesus will be in a kataluma at Passover. He will be in the upper room. And there he does something that will forever affect the church's worship. He takes the bread and he says, "This is my body, which is given for you. Do this in remembrance of me." Luke 22:19. In his nativity, Jesus is placed where the food goes, in a manger. He's in the manger because he can't be in a room, in the kataluma. Later, when he's in the upper room, Jesus makes clear what was hinted at in the infancy story. He has come to be our food. So church fathers like Gregory the Great made much, should I say, of this, right? They pointed out that Bethlehem literally means house of bread. Beth meaning house, lechem meaning bread. And so they saw the manger as a pointer to the mystery of the Eucharist. What happens in the Eucharist is a kind of extension of the mystery of the Nativity. In the Eucharist, Christ comes to us as food. In the 400s, Cyril of Alexandria would therefore say, "Whereas we were brutish in soul, by now approaching the manger, yes, his table, we find no longer feed, but the bread from heaven, which is the body of life." People often warn about taking Christ out of Christmas, but the word Christmas also has another term in it, Mass. In the Mass, in the celebration of the Eucharist, we return to the manger. The Church understands that the mystery of Christ's coming is made present once again in the liturgy, where Christ comes to us in the bread of life and in the cup. Much more could be said, and what I'm trying to say here really briefly, I say much better and with greater nuance in my new book, The True Meaning of Christmas, The Birth of Jesus and the Origins of the Season. The book is also available in Spanish. Please share this video with others. Thank you for watching, and Merry Christmas.